I hope you enjoyed the Super Bowl last night. Every part of it, commercials, the game, all those sort of things. And we always love to talk with Adam Rizzieri, marketing expert and chief marketing officer at Agency Partner Interactive, when there's something big going on like this. And Super Bowl is certainly a big thing. We'll get to the commercials in a moment. But first, Adam, tell us about some of the in-game presentation stuff that CBS did, kind of blending the lines between, just programming and commercials.
Yeah, actually, I think one of the notable ones really was kind of the way Nickelodeon sort of integrated a little pitch to their brand through that kind of beautiful integration of, the game programming itself through some of the game recaps and highlights. And then obviously using augmented reality to overlay literally like that green Nickelodeon goo and slime like into the end zone. Stuff that's really kind of, I guess, just kind of a different way to watch the game and a different way to sort of like digest that content while finding relevance and kind of merging two brands that are very different, kind of merging them together in a way that's creative. And obviously Nickelodeon's a kids brand, right? And sure, there's a little bit of intersection between obviously kids and sports, but big gap between, kids sports and the Super Bowl, right?
Now, this year it cost $5.5 million for a 30-second spot. With some of those traditional spots, what stood out to you?
Some of the more notable brands, I think, were the ones that were really willing to invest into, obviously, the spot, but then also into good production. I really liked the Flat Matthew commercial that Doritos 3D was airing early in the game. And maybe it's because I'm a Texan and I've got a little bit of love for Matthew McConaughey, but it was a comical commercial that found a really neat way of kind of bringing to life the concept of a 3D Doritos chip. But one of the ones I think that really stands out would be the Bud Light Seltzer Lemonade. 2020 was a lemon of a year. And watching this commercial start with basically 2020 New Year's Eve with the Midnight Kiss to then a hailstorm of lemons to, I think what we can all point to was just a really crazy and weird year. It was kind of a lemon of a year. And so I think the humor in that was just really, really well done. At one point, they even showed a couple that was trying to get married at their wedding reception, just being attacked by this literal hailstorm of lemons falling from the sky. A little bit more of a distant third, maybe the State Farm commercial. So obviously when you're shooting a commercial, you're going to have stand-ins who help the director and the production crew, get set up before the actors actually get on screen. And so they had the State Farm commercial that actually involved Patrick Mahomes, and Paul Rudd, of all people, happened to be the stand-in for Patrick Mahomes, which I thought was hilarious. But then you had Jake from State Farm, Guy, right? His stand-in happened to be Drake. So the stand-in for Jake from State Farm happened to be Drake for State Farm. And I just thought that was hilarious.
Now, what about ones that just missed the mark?
Yeah, there was that Odie commercial. The CEO of this brand, it's like a non-dairy milk brand. This poor guy was singing his lungs out on camera, and it was just really bad. Like, it was kind of awkward. And so that definitely missed the mark. I have to say the Jeep commercial that was trying to sort of elevate this theme of reunification. Honestly, it did miss the mark as well. I wanted to well up in my eyes. I wanted to kind of shed like a tear of emotional response, but they didn't really choose a very politically centered personality. They had Bruce Springsteen on there, who's a great musician, but he's also a very vocal advocate on the left. So maybe if they chose someone who was a little bit more center or nonpartisan, that would have resonated a little bit better for their brand.
The Jeep commercial, tugging at heartstrings to sell cars. What's the right way to do that?
Yeah, I think the right way to do it is to kind of put your money behind a cause and support that cause. There were some ads that ran slightly before the commercial, but they were obviously kind of gearing up to kick off. And there were companies that were putting their money behind supporting things like the fight against human trafficking. So if you're going to try and really be authentic and you're going to try and take a position, whether it's, hey, let's come together as a nation, or, hey, we should really be focused on this issue because it's important. Whatever that position is, if you are a big brand, you have to find a way to kind of be authentic and real about kind of bringing some substance to the table. And this is, I think, where a lot of big brands sort of fall short because they'll pay a lot of money to a big advertising agency who will create this beautiful message. But when the fact checkers go to work and they see what's actually being done behind the scenes, they realize that nothing's being done. then that can actually hurt your brand. And we've seen this kind of over the last decade or so with other brands like Nike with respect to their business practices. We've seen that with Uber as well. So if a brand tries to take some sort of position that I think elevates a positive message, but really does so without a whole lot of substance beneath it, it's kind of clear what they're doing. They're just trying to sell product.
What about other disappointments? Anything else stand out?
There were some other brands that flopped for, I think, different reasons. The Bud Light Legends commercial. I really wanted to like the Bud Light Legends commercial. They brought back all the old personalities from past Super Bowls and past Super Bowl commercials. And it just didn't quite ring the bell, I was kind of hitting the gong pretty early into that one. So, when it comes down to it, I think if you're going to lose the contest or if you're going to win the award of commercial spot that ran flat, when it comes to making a decision, do I want to run flat because I missed the comedic mark? Or do I want to run flat because I come off as inauthentic? I think you just want to miss the comedic mark and try better next year, There was a little bit of irony in the Robin Hood commercial. Robin Hood kind of advertising themselves and basically saying we are all investors, except for, the ones that they're not going to allow to trade on their platform. I thought that there was a little bit of humor just in the fact of timing. Robin Hood shot a good commercial, but given some headlines that we saw last week with GameStop, the message just came off again, sort of like I guess you could say Jeep as inauthentic. I had really high hopes for this one commercial by this organization called Inspiration 4. Inspiration 4 was offering to send civilians to space. It's like Mountain Dew was going to give $1 million to some contestants. Inspiration 4 was going to offer space travel to a couple of winners. They had this 30-second spot, and it was artistically beautiful. It was directed by Ron Howard's daughter, Bryce Dallas Howard, and it was shot by a pretty new but really, really promising ad agency called Known. And they could have done so much more with their time. They burned $5.5 million for the spot alone, plus I'm sure a boatload in the actual production itself. I think viewers were kind of left with like a little bit of a question mark. The call to action was to go to the Inspiration 4 website to learn more, but I mean, they could have really been way more, I think, emotive, and they could have pulled way more out of the viewers in terms of excitement. But instead, they played, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star and kind of put people to sleep.
Want to know exactly what's going on at your home or business? Get smart cameras from DFW Security. Don't get overwhelmed with notifications. Customize your alerts thanks to DFW Security's artificial intelligence that identifies people, animals, and vehicles. Check it out at dfwsecurity.com.
At the car and truck wreck law firm Frankel & Frankel, fighting for you is our number one priority. This is an actual client.
I was driving to pick my son up from school. The next thing I know, someone smashed into the back of me. It was one of the scariest moments of my life. They helped me get into doctors that I couldn't afford. The biggest thank you I've ever given to Frankel & Frankel. I don't know that I'd be here without them.
If you've been injured in a car or truck wreck, call us now for a free consultation at 214-333-3333 or truckwreck.com. Frankel & Frankel, Principal Office, Dallas, Texas.